I mean, for starters, I'm aware that I look absolutely horrific. Foolishly, I did not take tissues into that film, and I didn't expect to cry. Ooh. Also, I've got a really stupid fringe because I went to the cinema with wet hair, so that's what that is. So, blotchy face and stupid hair. But that's not what you're here for. You're here to hear me talk about the film I've just been to see, and the film I've just been to see is Back to Black. This is a biopic of the late Amy Winehouse. And I'm going to start by saying I wasn't a big Amy Winehouse fan. Obviously, I was aware of her music, because how could you not be? But I didn't know a huge amount about her. And unfortunately, I guess a lot of what I did know about her would have been filtered through the tabloid press. Not that I've ever been one. Somebody's parking next to me. Not that I've ever been one to read tabloid newspapers. I think they're absolutely vile, and they should all be shut down. But yeah, I guess that would have been how I knew of Amy, would have been stories in the press, stories about her and her husband and drug use. And I think, to my shame, when she died in 2011, my feeling was probably that of what a waste of talent, because she had the most phenomenal voice. Like, it's such an iconic voice. It's a voice that when you hear it, you instantly know who it is. And I don't think there are many singers that are that, that fall into that category. Or it's a certain class of singer where you hear it, and from like one syllable of a song, it's them. Adele, Frank Sinatra, other people that I can't think of. Where you just go, boom, that is such and such. It's such a recognisable voice. So yeah, when she died, I probably did think, what a shame, what a waste. But like I say, I was never a huge fan. I don't own her albums, but I'm aware of the big hits. Just the other day, actually, I had to correct one of my daughter's friends when she said Eva was talking about Glee, and she was talking about Santana singing Valerie on Glee, and one of our friends said, oh yeah, it made me go and like, I love the original. And I stopped this lovely 15-year-old and said, who do you think the original is? And she went, Amy Winehouse. And I said, that's not the original. Amy's is a cover version. So yeah, I'm aware of all the big hits, but not a huge fan. So I haven't bothered seeing the film. And then this afternoon, I found myself needing something to do to distract me from how I was feeling and what was going on around me. So I booked a ticket and I went. I did not expect this. Like, right at the end. Jesus. Oh, right at the end when it's... Because I knew it was going to do it, because it's a biopic. And I knew it was going to do that thing where it says, like, this person died. When that came on the screen, like, I had to stop. This is so ridiculous. I had to stop myself from like fully wailing in the cinema. Right, I'm gonna get a grip. I'm gonna talk about the film, because I'm not here to actually talk about Amy herself. I'm here to talk about this film. So this is a film 4 minutes in, I'm just getting ready to talk about the film. So this is a film by the British director Sam Taylor Johnson. Previously, she directed Nowhere Boy, about the early life of John Lennon. So this is her second stab at a musical biopic. Haven't actually seen Nowhere Boy, as it goes. And it stars Marissa Abela as Amy. Wow, right. I don't know Marissa Abela. I've never seen her in anything before. She's incredible. She just embodies Amy. And there's been quite a lot of high-profile musical biopics in recent years. I haven't seen the Bob Marley one that came out earlier this year, but we've had, not in very recent times, we've had Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocket Man, which came out within sort of a month of each other, and I absolutely loved both of them. And obviously it's a well-trodden road in cinema. I absolutely loved Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon and Walk the Line. And it's, you've got to strike a balance between like an homage and impersonation. Do you go like how? But yes, she looks like Amy. I think obviously the hair, the makeup, the tattoos, that all helps. But I feel like she's got Amy's attitude and her spirit, and like her ballsiness is absolutely nailed on, her mannerisms. As far as I understand it, she did her own singing for the film, so girl's got some pipes on her. I like the way the music was used in the film. It is far more like Bohemian Rhapsody in that the music just comes at certain stages of the story, rather than Rocket Man, that was more like a musical where it just used Elton John's music as and when it served the story. So this is like a timeline of from teenage Amy, sort of 18-year-old Amy in Camden with her friends, finding her voice. Her dad, Mitch, has a bit of a voice on him as well. And Nan, Cynthia, who's played by the wonderful Leslie Manville, had previously been a singer. They talk right at the beginning about her performing at Ronnie Scott's, and Amy's obviously really close to her. Eddie Marsan plays Mitch Winehouse, Amy's dad. Now, I know not that much. There was a documentary a couple of years ago called Amy, which again I haven't seen, which apparently didn't portray her dad, Mitch, in a very good light. I would say this film is kinder to Mitch. It shows him to be a loving and supportive father, primarily, who did the best for his daughter. I don't know how true that is. On the whole, this is kind of a tragic love story. As much as it's about Amy's journey into adulthood and her musical career and all that, it's very much about the destructive influence on Amy of her relationship with what's his name? Blake Fielder Civil. And like, I wanted to punch him, and I wanted him to have nothing to do with it. And it's really easy to watch this and blame him, and I don't think that's entirely fair. Amy obviously had a raging problem with alcohol, and that ends up escalating to heroin later on. It's really interesting to see that in the earlier part of the film, when she first gets together with Blake, she's really angry about the fact that he does cocaine. She says like class A's of her mugs, that she smokes a bit of weed and she loves a drink, but she doesn't touch the hard stuff. And then obviously as the film progresses, it does very much escalate to her touching the hard stuff. So it is very much about those two, and it's watching it as a 42-year-old woman and remembering what it's like to be in your early 20s and just be completely consumed by love and it to be like the most important thing in the world. I just watched it and felt like I really wish somebody could have, well, I mean, I suppose they didn't end up together when they weren't together when Amy died, but that somebody could have separated her from that toxic influence. But she's so in love with him, and it's so important to her that if anybody tried, I think she would have just turned her back on absolutely anybody who tried to come between her and Blake. Because if this film is to be believed, she was completely like, they were drawn to each other, but they were really bad for each other. Like they're really, it's a really toxic relationship. And obviously she's got money and fame and power, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And it's really hard to watch because, you know, you're thinking all that talent and all that ability and so much potential, and it just gets squandered because of a stupid, and it's not fair to minimize it, but it just gets squandered because of this relationship and the destructive influence it has on her. The other thing I think I found most upsetting about watching it is the treatment of Amy by the press. And this is something that really bothers me. We've seen it so much, especially in the UK, although I know the US has a problem with it as well, this intrusion of the tabloid presses, the constant hounding of people. She's a young woman, and everywhere she goes there are just cameras in her face, and they don't care about her safety, they don't care about anything other than getting that picture. And it's so intrusive and so overwhelming, and I really felt for her. I felt for like the Amy I was watching in the film, but it made me think of the real person. She's such a tiny little person, and the massive hair and the winged eyeliner and the big high heels and the tattoos, it's all like armour. But underneath it all, she's this really little Jewish girl with this enormous, incredible voice and this just unparalleled talent. But the constant hounding of her and just how intrusive it all is and how she can't get away from it. And it's like, it's no wonder she turns to alcohol and to drugs to just block it all out, because she's not equipped to cope with it. She doesn't know how to process it. She keeps saying through the film, like, I don't want money, I don't want fame, I just want to sing, I want to share music, I want to connect with people. And this was just a horrible downside of what she did. And it reminds me of the Princess Diana thing and of the treatment of Britney Spears by the press and the whole, like, Britney meltdown. And it's just so vile and intrusive. And it just makes me really angry. The idea that because you are a public figure, whether it's, you know, a musician or, you know, an actor, that because you're famous, because you make money out of the public, of them consuming your output, you then somehow belong to them, and that you don't deserve privacy or respect. It makes me sick to my stomach. And I think that's one of the things I found really hard, because over the course of this film, I felt connected to Amy, the Amy I was watching, played so brilliantly by Marissa Abela. And it just broke my heart watching her be hounded and made fun of. And, you know, when she loses her temper in front of them or when she falls over in front of them, you just want to kind of scoop her up and protect her, because, like I said, she's like a tiny little bird. She's so fragile, but at the same time so powerful when she sings. So, yeah, do I think it's accurate to Amy's real story? Possibly not. Is it a little bit... I was going to say Disney-fied. I mean, there's nothing Disney-fied about it, because there's a lot of drug use and abuse and all other stuff going on. But I do think it's been a little bit softened around the edges to make it more palatable. This is the longest review I've done in ages. I'm talking for too long, but it's because I spent the first 4 minutes crying. Yeah, so I don't think it's a bang-on accurate description of Amy's life, or that period of Amy's life, but I do think it's interesting and it's well made and it's very moving and the performances are outstanding. So yeah, it's a good film. It's a good musical biopic. I didn't expect it to punch me in the feels the way it did, but there we are. I really need to stop talking now. Thank you for listening to this review of Back to Black. Next film will be Challengers on Tuesday. Until then, film fans, I will see you around. Katie out.